Hello everybody, it's Brian with you from the Game Common, and we are playing some Planet Coaster today. We're starting a brand new park. It's going to be a sandbox park, and even though we're still on the beta, we're going to go ahead and start it up. There's a couple things that we want to use that are in the release version, but we're still going to go ahead and start it now. What this park will be is it's going to be a Westworld inspired park. You may have heard of Westworld. It's a brand new television show on HBO that I very much enjoy watching. In addition to that, it was also a movie back in the day, but I never saw the movie. But I still am a little hesitant to call it a Westworld inspired park because I'm afraid some people are afraid that I may spoil some of the show, or I'm also afraid that maybe some people will be like, I don't really care because I don't know anything about the show. And that's okay. If you don't know anything about the show, that's fine. The reason I'm doing a Westworld inspired park, well, is A, because I love it, but then number two is it gives us an opportunity and an excuse to use the brand new themes that they have in the beta/release version, and that's the Western theme and the sci-fi theme. So if you don't know anything about Westworld, it's a futuristic park that is themed from the Western frontier, and there's a bunch of AI who run the park, but they don't know their AI, and so on and so forth. That's unimportant. But the point is, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing two different things. We're going to have like the ultra modernistic, futuristic, underground like control centers and entrances and stuff like that that's going to utilize the sci-fi theme, and then we're going to have a bunch of stuff out here that's going to be very much Western themed. And I wanted to show you guys, just kind of give you a brief overview before we actually started, before we ran some time lapse of what I want to accomplish in this series. So first and foremost, this whole first area, we're going to raise it like way up. Like we're going to like get some really high mountains going and stuff like this, and we're going to build like underground entrances, and we're going to have maybe roller coasters that come through here, and a lot of this is just going to be the futuristic underground stuff. We're going to have the control center for the park in here and all that fun stuff. And then once we get done with that, we're going to move on over probably to this area or so, and we're going to build like the Western frontier. This is going to be like your typical Western town. If you want to know what the Westworld town looks like, apparently they just reused the Deadwood sets. So, you know, it's going to be one of those kind of themed. We're going to have all the nice old buildings like the, I'm trying to think of all their names. I'm not a huge fan of Westerns, which is kind of ironic. But it's just going to be your typical Western town that's going to be over here. Then over here is going to be like we cross the border into Mexico. We're going to do another town, but it's going to be a little more Mexican inspired. It's going to have different architecture and stuff like that, and I'm pretty excited to actually play around with that one. I'm hoping we can actually accomplish what I want with that one. And then last but not least, I want to put another small area over here that's just going to be like the frontier area. We're probably just going to put like one ranch, maybe just like a ranch building on a hill with some cattle and stuff like that. And we're just going to kind of make this like the frontier itself. In addition to that, I'm going to be doing a lot of different stuff with elevation, similar to like kind of how you see the background and stuff like that. This is not going to be a flat park. It's going to be as much elevation and stuff as we can get. And I'm really excited for it. One of the things I actually really want to do that I'm going to spoil with you guys that we can't do until release is I'm going to have like a hill that's going to start over here or something like this. And in this hill, we're going to make the River Wild ride, which isn't in the game yet. Right now, all we have is the log flume, and we're going to actually like start it up here, and then we're going to like run it, you know, down through here. So it's going to be something like this, but whatever. I'm not going to actually build it now. And it's going to run through here, and we're going to make it like it's an actual river running through the park. And so we're going to have to like start it up super high and then just kind of have it come down and go forward a bit. And then the return and everything we're going to put underground because I don't want to reveal that section. Like, I want all the technology and stuff like that to kind of stay hidden as much as we can. So anyways, that's about all I have to say about this park. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reload the save, and we're going to turn it over to the time lapse of me actually working on the park. So I hope you guys are excited for this. I'm excited to build it myself. So I'll see you guys in a second. Yeah, and here we are with the time lapse of us building our Westworld park. What's interesting about this is we started this park, I think it was beta 3 or so, and then about halfway through this video, beta 4 came out, and beta 4 increased the size of the park 2.5 times, so significantly larger than what we have here. So what's kind of fun about this park is at some point I ended up having to like copy everything I did, and then basically I had to paste it down. I had to save it as a blueprint and then paste it down in here. And I think I do most of that off camera. But anyways, one of the things you'll notice is I did a roof and then I put the roof underground. And you might be asking yourself, why'd you do that? Well, the reason I did that is because this whole part is going to be underneath a giant mountain. We're going to have a huge mountain here. I think I mentioned that earlier. And so I didn't want, when I raised the terrain, to actually like screw up my entrance area. I wanted this big grand entrance area. At some point I even lay down a fox floor just to kind of hide it, but I didn't want the terrain getting messed up at all with it, so that's why we ended up putting a floor underground, just to kind of just make sure that the terrain didn't come in and screw with it at all. You'll notice here I have my grand entrance area. Right next to it then is going to be our shop area. There, I'm kind of like imagining like you come in and you want to go to the park, so you kind of walk through here, and then there's an opportunity for you to get changed and kind of all kinds of other things. We have like restrooms and first aid and stuff like there. I actually don't know what the actual Westworld entrance looks like. We've kind of seen it a little bit in the show, no spoilers, but we really don't know what it looks like. So I just kind of imagined like these would be like the changing rooms and stuff like that for guests to, you know, really get the full Western feel if they want to go that way. We do have a hat shop there. We have a restroom shop. There are a couple new shops, but since I actually made this video, like a balloon shop came in, but I decided not to do the balloon shop just because I felt that would look weird. And then you'll see my probably #1 issue I have with the game right now, and that's the pathing system. And I cannot for the life of me get this to look right. We end up doing most of this off camera, and I probably spent like an hour on this just trying to play with the path off camera. And then what's funny is when we ended up having to drop it down because the park size increased, I had to come back through here and do all the pathing system again, which was just like, oh my gosh. I think finally though, after probably, I don't know how many hours I have in this game, I probably have about 10 hours in the game, which isn't a lot considering, you know, I've had access to it for a week, but I've been busy. Get off my back, jeez. But anyways, I feel like I've gotten a lot better at the path system, quite a bit actually, so I'm feeling pretty confident about having to build paths in the future. One thing here is we kind of built it up a little bit. You'll notice all these paths in the shop area are elevated from the entrance area, and the reason for that is because I can't really put a floor down. If I put a floor down with the path, like for example in our entrance area, if I put a floor down and I put the floor underneath the path, it'll either like clip through the path or it will disappear underneath the ground and you won't be able to see it. So I kind of just had to, well, we raised up this whole second and third area, but then the entrance area, we kind of have to work around the path a little bit, and it kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. And overall, I think I like the idea of just raising the path. Here we're working on the train. My whole goal is, so you walk in, you see this nice, huge, grand entrance. Then next to it, you kind of follow the path and you have your changing, your shops, and all these different areas. And then eventually you hop on the train, and the train actually takes you into the park. Now, the interesting thing about the train in the park, and oh my gosh, my final version of this queue path looks way better. I kind of want the only entrance to the park to be through the train. I don't know if that'll work. I hadn't actually tested it yet because we don't really have anything going. But I'm kind of interested to see if that's going to work. We'll have to see. I don't know for sure. If not, then we may just make a regular entrance, maybe take it out and just do like a dirt path or something like that. But preferably, I would like everyone just to be able to take the train. What we're doing here is we're actually working on the control center for our big control center that's going to be in this mountain. We end up not getting here. Like I didn't get nearly as far in this episode as I wanted, and we just kind of leave that over there. But eventually, that's going to be like a control center that's just going to be in the mountain. We're not going to have really anything in it. I'm not going to build anything in it simply because it's going to be too much of a hassle to actually get guests in there. So you can see I was kind of floating around inside the entrance, and I was like, you know, it'd be really cool, chandeliers. So I decided to use these chandeliers here. The only downside with these chandeliers is they have candles on them. They're not actual like chandeliers. And my whole kind of vision for this entrance area of the park is this isn't Western. This is like futuristic. This is you like get changed and get ready for the Western area. So I kind of end up eventually changing this to a different lighting scheme just because I didn't feel like the chandeliers with the candles really worked all that well. I mean, it looks cool now, but when we start throwing other futuristic stuff in there, it doesn't really work. And here I'm just kind of playing playing around, looking at some of the sci-fi stuff. We don't get nearly as far, like I said, and part of it's just because, man, I just didn't really know any of the sci-fi assets. We didn't get a chance to play with any of it in the alpha, so we're just kind of, you know, trying to add as much as we can just to make this feel a little more futuristic. We end up doing quite a bit with the entrance area. We end up having a second level. We put like a couple computer stations. We built this nice big huge welcome desk and kind of all kinds of stuff like that, which looked nice. At this point, I'm still not 100% sure what I want to do, so I'm just kind of like playing around with some assets, just like, hey, does that look futuristic? Does that look futuristic? I end up throwing all these glass pieces together, and then I end up putting some like lights on them, just because I'm trying to make it look like, I don't know, maybe like screens. Like if there's one thing that kind of jumped out in the show, is it's like you have all these big like digital screens that are showing all kinds of stuff, and there's really nothing in the game that really does that. So I end up throwing down those laser scanners, even though they don't really like fit the Westworld theme or the show or anything like that, but they are kind of futuristic and they're kind of cool, and it's kind of like, hey, this is a security measure you have to walk through. So here we're just kind of playing around and just trying to make this look as best as I can, and eventually I kind of decide just to make that an actual wall. And you'll see here, now we're on the much larger park, and it's freaking big, like compared to what it was. Like I'm so excited to actually use this as the big the final park, but the problem is I kind of had to like figure out exactly where it needed to go again and make sure everything's good. And I actually wonder now, I wonder if my blueprint actually has an underground section, and I don't know that for sure. I end up removing the roof here, and this took forever to copy and click it all off, just because it's too hard to work without it. And here we start dropping the floors, and like I said, I didn't like just like, it's indoors, it makes no sense to actually have the flooring. So we end up just kind of doing this fox floor, and this is very similar to what we did for our pier in the alpha build. And then once again, path issues. Path issues are my eternal enemy, and I just, like you see, they just won't connect right. And finally I get it like mostly okay. Later we end up going back and adding some footsteps or whatever they're called, the stones on the edge of the pathway, so you know you don't walk off the path. I don't remember what those are called off the top of my head, but anyways, we make pretty good investment on that. I was trying to get the building exactly perfect, and I don't know if I built the building a little bit crooked, or if the walls are slightly or the paths are slightly crooked. My assumption is the path is slightly crooked, which is kind of annoying. Here we're building a second layer because I kind of wanted to make this like a big workstation area for like employees of the park, so they can kind of keep track on stuff, and so on and so forth. So we end up making our own little custom stairs here. They do have some stairs inside the sci-fi theme for like the sides of a rocket ship, but I decided to kind of make my own, and they kind of came out pretty good. They're not perfect. I mean, I'm sure the levels are a little bit different. I don't even think I put supports on them now that I think about it, but you can't really see underneath there, so that's fine. We end up coming here and playing around and getting our own little kind of barricade to kind of keep people from falling down. I like how that came out. We ended up trying to make our own computers here in a second too, which is hilarious, that I'm doing all these different things trying to like make a computer. And then after I did all that, I realized, oh wait, there are actually computers in the game. First and foremost, I'm trying to actually find a table that I could put my computers in, and just kind of get like just different assets, just to kind of like add something, or to make it feel like an actual table. And I really like how these tables came out. I think they came out really, really well. I'm excited. Like I mentioned, I really didn't get as far as I wanted. What we still need to kind of do in this whole area is I need to add a bunch of stuff on the walls still. I did some, but it's pretty empty. Like, you want to walk in and you want to just have this nice grand entrance with a lot going on. And you see there, like, I added just a few pieces, just like a couple consoles and stuff like that, just to add a little bit of flavor. And this area right here, I think, came out and looks pretty dang good. We end up using these random pieces for benches. I end up swapping that out. And then I realized, oh, hey, look, there's computers. So we put these ancient, outdated computers on our, like, futuristic computer tables or whatever. But, you know, they look cool. I end up throwing another one down there. And then I think after this, we end up working on our welcome area, which is also pretty freaking awesome. Oh, yeah, I threw these billboards here because you see some of the walls are just kind of, like, sticking through. or some of the ground. So I end up doing this because it's like, hey, this is like your inspiration. Look at what you're doing. And then we just made a couple more workstations just for the heck of it. Why not? And then just duplicated that just to kind of further hide it. I'm not too picky about like, okay, if no one can get there and you can't see it easily, I'm not going to be too concerned about making it perfect and making it all the way around. Here you notice we finally got rid of the stupid candle chandeliers, and I end up using these lights instead. I don't know how bright they're going to be. I don't know if I really even paid much attention, but eventually we get them where we want them, and that's pretty good where I like it. And then we throw these over here, and I realize, oh crap, I don't even have my pass yet, and I don't think I do the pass in this episode. I think I do it later. But here we're going and we're working on our welcome desk, and I wanted like a gigantic welcome desk that you kind of walk in and just like something a little gaudy, so you're like, oh hey, that's really freaking cool, I like that. We end up using these space helmets for kind of like shelving, and there really was nothing that would fit it otherwise, so it kind of works, it kind of doesn't work. I mean, from a distance, you can't really tell what it is, and if anyone asks, hey, we're just handing out space helmets to people who come to my Westworld park, why not? So we end up putting it a little close to the pathway. I moved that back, but then we come and we actually get to play with the custom signs, and I'm trying to find one that fits. I hated the freaking font on it, and I don't like how it's like super crooked and like, I don't know. As someone who does a lot of graphic design for work, I'm not a huge fan of that sign in particular, but whatever, it works. Decided to give them a couple, workstations because they need workstations, and then I wanted to really make this gaudy, so that's where we got this nice like wood topper, just to kind of go with it. Even though the wood isn't too futuristic, it just has a nice like I don't want to say rich feel, but a nice like, expensive, it has a little bit of weight. And then we find these new pieces here, and I love these pieces. These are the new pieces that they added into the beta where you can use them to build pretty much anything. And so we ended up using them just kind of supports, and we colored them the same as the outside, and I really kind of like how this welcome desk came out. We ended up replacing all the seats once again with these little like stools. They're not the best thing in the world. I probably could spend some time and make something a little bit better, but at some point we'll figure that out. And then last but not least, I really just wanted something to kind of be around the welcome desk. And so this is going to be kind of like, these are lights, but I imagine like these are the screens that are displaying like prices and stuff like that. And so we just kind of put these around top, and it came out okay. Nothing spectacular, but then here, yeah, we got the pathways. And I think about halfway through this, I decide, oh yeah, maybe we should just do this off camera because man, it took forever. So I probably spent about 4 or 5 hours in this park already. I end up building the river next episode, which I'm quite excited for. And here we just decided to do a fly-through of what we built so far. I'm not too concerned about, hey, there's not anything on the outside, because once again, it's going to be a giant rock structure. I'm more concerned about these walls right here. You see a bunch of big blank walls, and that's going to be really what we kind of focus in on next episode after the river, is really kind of make those a little prettier. We also need to obviously drop a roof on this. We got some signs there, and then this comes over here into our train station, which looks great. My queue actually looks pretty dang good, so I'm excited for this. So anyways, that's about the first episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like, especially since this is a brand new series. If this is something you want to see me continue doing, hit that like button, comment, let me know what you guys think, and most of all, hit that subscribe button. Show your support, join the game comment. I'll see you guys later. Bye.